Welcome guys, this is my fifth tutorial on basic guide for Clover Configurator UEFI. In this video, I'm gonna talk about the remaining sections of Clover UEFI configurator. Like in this video, we're gonna talk about CPU, devices, disabled drivers, GUI, graphics, kernel and Kext patches, RT variables, SMBIOS, system parameters. So let's start. So the first thing we're going to talk about is obviously CPU section and its use, then devices and its use. So the first thing is what CPU section does. It's basically something not related to the booting a system, but it is mainly, I think, it works in a different manner. For example, if it does not affect your booting process so much, but mostly the visual things that appears in system parameters preferences, sorry. So right now you can see I have like 3700 megahertz written there, so it is displaying on my system report 3.7 gigahertz Intel Core i5. My CPU is 3.3 to 3.7, it's Core i5, so I just changed it to 3700. If I remove the 3700, it will just display 3.3 gigahertz into, and if I put here 4000 or 5000, it will just display here. It does not affect the CPU usage or its multiplier or its frequency. It does not overclock it. Same is for the bus speed, latency and QPI. I don't know about the type in C2, C4, C6, but it these three things does not affect it. Now let's move to devices. In devices section, you can see its fake ID, USB and audio. If you are using Clover for injecting your audio, you have to write your audio model like ALC. My one is ALC 1150. So you just have to write 1150 no, ALC. You don't need to write ALC. So then you can also turn on the reset HDA. In some systems, it helps to give audio after sleep. Same is inject. If for using USB inject, you or using any of these four, you have to select USB inject first. So what you have to do is use USB inject, then add clock ID. It helps in some system to prevent regular sleep and wake up. Fix ownership. I don't know what it does, but it might help some systems to boot in. High current. This is for if you use iPads or tablets to charge from your USB port. I think it provides its command the USB port to provide a higher current. You can add fake IDs for your Intel graphics, Nvidia, Lens, SATA and others. Here you can see use Intel HDMI. This option right here, it helps to turn the Intel HDMI audio. I don't use that. I already got my audio working. Intel audio, HDMI audio. I mean, but I'm using a Kext for that. Here, I have made a video how to get your HDMI audio. Right now, this audio is coming from Nvidia graphics card. You can see I got an GTX 670. So, oh damn, I hate this. So right now, then this is all in, and you can add few properties of your devices if system is not recognizing it correctly. Then we move to disable drivers. What disable drivers does? Oh, wait a second, sorry. Alright. What disable driver does is it's disable few of the drivers that Clover uses. For example, 32-bit, 64-bit, and UEFI driver. Right now you can see I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 drivers that drivers usually found here. If you go to EFI, Clover, time. You go to Clover, you will go to drivers. Here right now, these drivers help to boot. It helps Clover to boot into the operating system, into the OS X. Right now, I'm using HFS plus EFI, FS injection, OX APTIO fix to draw, and OX fat binary. This helps to boot HFS plus file system which Apple uses. So if you just delete it, Clover won't boot into your hard drive. So here of you, if you don't want to delete them, but you want to disable them, you can do that from here. It is just related to Clover drivers, not your system drivers. Now in GUI, it's graphical user interference. What it does is it have few options what you can use while you are in graphical user interference. You are off Clover, right? You can select the mouse double click speed, you can enable mouse, you can enable mirror, I don't know what, and you can enable mouse speed, scroll speed, and double click speed. You can check for entries to scan this is if you allow the Clover to scan entries to legacy and kernels. This is your language Clover. This is the theme. I'm using Tony Mac x86. It's the main resolution your system will boot in if you're using Intel HD MI or Intel VGA or some any Intel VGA, Intel DVI. This won't affect if you are using NVIDIA or AMD to boot in. This is console mode 0 max mini one you can select. I have not selected any. Then we move to graphics section. So we're gonna talk about the use. Here right now, this tells about the dual link DVIs. If you're having one, you can just click one, or you're having none, you just click zero. Load BIOS. I have made a video how to get Intel HD 4600 on your system. It's on El Capitan or on Yosemite or Mavericks. In that procedure, you have to click on load. It's video BIOS, or you can say video memory for the Intel HD. You have to click Intel VBIOS and inject Intel to get Intel HD 4600 working. So if you patch BIOS, in my case, it system does not boot. It gives some sort of error. Intel graphics does not works after patch, but in think many systems are different and it works. Here you can specify the video memory of your Intel HDMI. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm saying Intel HDMI, Intel HD. For example, if your motherboard allows to share 512 MB or 1024 MB. Video ports, number of video ports your motherboard outputs. My outputs three, and it differs on every system. Mostly it's 3 to 4. This is display CFG and IG platform ID. It is the fake ID if you want to add for your Intel HDMI. Oh, sorry, Intel HD and display CFG. Both are used to fake IDs as a fake IDs. Now we move to kernel and Kext patches. This is one of the most important section after boot and ACPI. Kernel and Kext patches. Right here, if I zoom, I think it will help you see it clear on some smartphones. Alright, so here you can see it's kernel CPU, kernel LAPEC, kernel power management, kernel Haswell E. This is for different processor, not for Haswell. Normal Haswell, Intel Core i3, 5 or 7. Apple RTC and Asus AI CPU management. I think Asus AICP power management, CPU power management, and debug. Debug helps many times. It helped me many times. Well, sometimes I got error while booting in and kernel's debug. I use debug from the Clover UEFI, Clover GUI right here. So I use that from their kernel debug. And Apple art on I'm using an Asus board Z97 Pro Gamer, so I'm using Asus. This allows this allows OS X to like add some files in the BIOS setup. I don't know correctly what files it adds, but it helps for better sleep and restart and shut down. Right now my system just shut down or restart in like 10 or 15 seconds. It it never happened that fast without this. So it still depends upon the system. Here you can add Kext to patches, right? You can see external icon patch on your internal hard drives. This helps to patch that. Fake CPU ID, ATI controller, connector control, connectors controller, force Kext to load if some of the Kext are not loading due to the system security. You can just add its name, or you can just drag and drop that Kext. You have to put that Kext in your EFI folder first. For example, you go here, you go EFI Clover, and you have to add it here in your specific model, and then you can just, for example, click plus, and then I click here, and I just drag it. Oh, why it's not working? Ah, yeah, right now I just pick and drop like this. You can do like this as well. So let's close it and just remove it. Now here is RT variables. Many people are having error while using App Store. The basic error that occurs in App Store is if you are missing ROM ROM number. This is the ROM number and MLB number. These both allow you to use Apple Mac Store and app and the OS things that you are using an original Mac. Even though when you turn on the iMessages, it asks you to confirm your system from Apple or get some sort of verification from the Apple. But it helps in many things. It helps in iCloud. It helps in App Store and other. So right now I'm using as an iMac 14.2. So, and this is used for El Capitan SIP security protection system they launched in El Capitan. Without this and without this enables to just overthrow the SIP system they launched. If you use OX3, it means it allows some Kext to load unsigned from Apple. The Kext Apple did not sign, you can load them. If you use X69, it means it will allow everything. The SIP will be permanently disabled. Not permanently. If you remove it, it will be deactivated. It will activate the SIP, but the code will deactivate. But I think this 69 disables all of the security. X3 disables only the Kext, unsigned Kext patching disorder, and OX0x28 is used to let this thing work. Coming to SMBIOS, right now I'm using dual channel 4 slots iMac, and this helps for example, I'm using an Haswell processor, that's why I'm using the iMac. You can use the different procedure. You can use the different procedure as well. In tools, you find mount EFI, boot.log, generate config, themes, install and updates, and install drivers. In mount option, you just find the mount option. If you can mount EFI partition in boot.log, you can create a boot log for your system, so you can use it as a DSDT. Themes, you just can download themes and install on your Clover GUI. Install and update Clover, you can check it from here. And right now I'm using 3292. And install drivers. This install drivers is for Clover, not for the OS X. You got UEFI 32-bit and 64-bit drivers. That's all for Clover UEFI configuration. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Talk to you in the next video.